Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to Luka Doncic speaking out on his fellow countryman Goran Dragic, and obviously a member of the Toronto Raptors. And this is an interesting situation because we all know that Goran Dragic has been linked to the Dallas Mavericks ever since he was traded to the Toronto Raptors. He had those higher aspirations. The Mavericks were the clear place. They were buddy all in the offseason. But then Goran Dragic did come into the team, was a true professional, played when he was played, didn't complain, moan, or sit out and pout while he was benched in the Toronto Raptors, whether it was because Goran Dragic wasn't playing well or it was because the Raptors just haven't been playing that good. Dragic hasn't been on the court for this team, and he's been a consummate professional. So shout out for Dragic for being that. But it did come out a few days ago that Goran Dragic will be parting ways with the team, or at least on a leave of absence from the team, due to personal reasons. This article here on the screen further speculates about the Luka stuff, but we got other stuff we're talking about in that, newer reports. However, we didn't get our chance to sink our teeth into that as Riker and I were in Toronto and didn't get a chance to do any sort of solo segments outside of the live ones we had going. However, this is an interesting development, as obviously I mentioned. Dragic was here, he was benched, and it's unfortunate for a guy that, as we saw in one of his last outings with the Toronto Raptors, can still play, can still put up numbers, and he's putting up decent stats for the season. I'm pulling up this animation here, right about 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and well, maybe not decent stats, but he had a good game. He had a good single game. Maybe outside of that game, the stats aren't looking too hot. The 29% from the three-point line, again, it's a smaller sample size, but Dragic, he's being benched, and for a veteran that has made it known he wants to win a championship, that's tough. However, I could see Masai Ujiri saying, okay, you're a veteran, you might be able to fill a role in this team. If the Raptors are good, we'll see what happens. And now, I'm not ready to break out the kazoos and play on the tanks, as some Raptors fans are already, but we are a younger team, and they have struggled as of late. So, Dragic being benched on a younger team, it just sort of sucks for a journeyman veteran a veteran in the NBA that played for one team for a while, that's looking to win a championship, even though he's getting paid. And I'm not out here complaining about Dragic and all that sort of stuff, but to be sitting on a bench on a team he doesn't really want to be on, potentially getting injured, whoever, I see why he's leaving. And if it is something other than his just situation with the team, we're hoping all that's cleared up. But due to all the comments made by Luka and all that, then I'm assuming it's just because of this situation. Now, this is where things start to get interesting, because Luka Doncic came out with a quote essentially saying post-game that when asked about the Dragic situation, he says, "Of course I follow it. I talked to him as well. He'll come back. We all know what kind of player he is, what kind of potential he has. I think he'll get back to playing at the level he was playing before." So those are the comments from Luka Doncic, and we also have a report coming out essentially saying that directly Goran Dragic is reportedly aiming to team up with Luka Doncic there in Dallas. And I'm assuming that doesn't mean in Toronto. As much as I love to see them team up, it doesn't specifically say Dallas in this headline or whatever, but as much as I love Doncic to come back, I got his jersey behind me here, but as much as I like to see Doncic come back to the Toronto Raptors, it's most likely Dragic potentially making his way to Dallas. Now, how will that happen? As we saw, the stats aren't looking too hot for Dragic. He has a $19 million contract, so it's tough to make any deal work. I'm sure the Raptors would have made a deal work, but we've talked about potential trades a bunch so far this season, but everything sort of circles around Dwight Powell coming back to the Toronto Raptors, and he hasn't been blowing anyone away this season with 6 points, 5 rebounds, and assists. The efficiency's pretty good, actually, for Dwight Powell. 40% from the three-point line, 60% from the field goal percentage. Even though he's not known as a shooter, he's not going to be a guy that's a stretch 5 by any means, but he is a quality center back. The reason he's involved in all these hypothetical Dragic deals is because he's making $11 million, and he's the only real guy expendable for the Dallas Mavericks. However, is a trade between the Raptors and Dallas that realistic? I don't really know. I cooked up a little Christian Wood 3-team deal to get Goran Dragic down there to Dallas and Christian Wood back, but people are kind of flaming that deal, and I understand why. Those 3-team trades are always very convoluted and stuff, so unless Masai can make his magic happen, I'd be surprised if we only bring back Dwight Powell's contract, because that could arguably be a negative asset. And again, he's an undersized center. We saw him get absolutely bullied in the offseason by those Czech big men for Team Canada. So would I really want him? I'd rather Birch and Precious. Not to break out the Precious propaganda on this podcast, but I'd rather Birch and Precious on the roster than Dwight Powell getting minutes and stuff. So that's my sort of take on the return, the potential trade situations happening there. But is it realistic that the Toronto Raptors could potentially buy out Goran Dragic? And that's unfortunately, I guess, for the Toronto Raptors, the route that I think this is going to end up going, because it's $19 million. He'll have, by the time I don't know when the re-signing deadline, we'll probably hold on to him for a while, let him rest, get his legs under him, all that sort of stuff, and then buy him out once we've already paid off a bunch of his contract. Hopefully you don't have to stretch it out or anything like that. But I know a lot of people want to see Dragic traded for some value back, and we don't want to pay a guy for not being here, essentially, getting that negative asset. Maybe use him in an expiring contract, an expiring deal. But assuming nothing crazy, nothing wild cooks up, and I don't think this is going to happen soon, right? Luka speaking out all these reports coming out currently. I don't think Dragic will be bought out or traded soon. I think by the time the trade deadline passes, because those expiring deals can have some value, right? I think we're going to hold on to him to the trade deadline, and then if nothing comes to form, you have your expiring, you don't end up getting to use it, you probably just buy him out at that point. Let him go to a contender during that time of year when everyone's looking for those veteran guards that can shoot the threes, can play make, and do all those sorts of things. And just again, I guess I should bring up, I don't think Goran Dragic is going to come back for the Toronto Raptors. Even when the Raptors were good, he wasn't playing, so he's not even going to be that presence off the bench. Delano Banton, Malachi Flynn even though they cooled off a little bit as of late, Malachi Flynn, I guess, didn't really get going that much, but they're ahead of him in the pecking order, at least in terms of the style the Toronto Raptors want to play. And it's unfortunate because Dragic is a guy that's talented. He has skills, and we just need those we need defenders out there right now on the court, and it's not working. We need a lot of stuff out there on the court to change, and Dragic doesn't really fit the mold of a Toronto Raptors player at this point. But he does fit the mold of someone Dallas could really need. They have a lot of guys. They need some veteran leadership there to go alongside Luka Doncic, someone that can take the load off of him. And I think he'd fit nicely down there in Dallas, and I'm wishing him the best. All the slander we threw at him at the start of the year for saying he has higher aspirations, it's all been taken back. I appreciate Goran Dragic and the time he's put in to this Toronto Raptors team. But I don't know. Should the Toronto Raptors look to trade Dragic? Do you have any Dragic trade ideals? Let me know in the comment section below. You guys cook up. Spin up the trade machine while, we cooked up a couple yesterday. Don't want too many trade videos right in a row, but I thought I'd give a Dragic update, considering the fact we missed it over the weekend. But, and then there's new news, obviously. But do you think he'll end up in Dallas? Do you think he'll end up somewhere else? Are we going to keep him and ride him all the way to a championship? Let me know in the comment section below. You're the best for making this far. We're also on the road to 22K subscribers. Sweet hoodies coming out on there, so definitely check that out. Check out the Instagram. I said all that. Channel memberships, merch, all that cool stuff. Christmas season's coming. Lots of fun merchandise to get for your friends and family. Anyways, I'm signing off. Cheers.